それではパネリストの皆様をご紹介いたします。ASEAN 前事務局長、スリン・ピッスワン様。中国社会科学院アジア太平洋グローバル戦略研究院院長、李光陽様。インド応用経済研究所上席研究顧問、ラジェシュ・チャダ様。慶應義塾大学経済学部教授、木村福成様。そして本セッションでのモデレーターは、日本経済新聞社コメンテーター、Sugeno Mikioが務めます。それでは皆様、よろしくお願いいたします。
はい、おはようございます。日本経済新聞のコメンテーターをしておりますSugenoと申します。最初のセッションを始めたいと思います。パネリストの4人の方がですね、英語を使いますので、司会も英語でやりたいと思っております。皆さん、同時通訳のレシーバーを必要に応じてお使いください。Warmly welcome to this panel discussion. Now I'd like to start the panel with the 4 distinguished panelists who represent key nations and region in Asia. So Mr. Surin is, of course, very well known. He's from former Secretary General of ASEAN, and Mr. Lee from People's Republic of China, and he's the director of the National Institute of International Strategy at Chinese Academy at Social Science, and Mr. Chadha from Republic of India. He's a senior fellow of the National Council of Applied Economic Research. And on the right, Mr. Kimura from Japan, who is a professor of Keio University, and he's the chief economist of the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia area. So this is the very first panel session of the 2 days conference. So I would like to make best effort for the attendance in order to have an overview of current Asian economy and its challenges and opportunities. According to the projection of the Asian Development Bank as of April, the Asian economy will grow by 5.7% in 2017. It is slightly lower than 5.8%, but of the previous year, but we can obviously say it is still very robust. Nevertheless, we are now facing a great concern on the new tide, namely protectionism. After the inauguration of the US President Donald Trump, who declared so-called America First principle, we have observed the harsh discussion on the value of free trade between Mr. Trump and other leaders, as we have seen in the G7 summit. And it must be followed by the forthcoming G20 summit in July in Germany, which includes China and India. It is very serious for Asia because Asia is the biggest beneficiary from the free trade regime with respect to very high competitiveness of products. And most of the countries, US is the most important market. Former Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Goh Chok Tong, has said just before, shift away from globalism is not intense interest of Asia. So how should we understand the current situation in a context of future growth in Asia? And how should we deal with the new reality on the rising protectionism? What could we do to address this situation through multilateral or regional cooperation within Asian countries? So this is probably 3 questions which I'd like to make. So I'd like to ask you 4 panelists to make a keynote remarks on a quick view on the current situation and outlook of the Asian country. and your comment on the risks and uncertainties for the future development in Asia, especially with regard to rising threat of protectionism. So, Dr. Surin, please.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Sugeno, Mr. Moderator, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I come here this year with a sense of tremendous concern for the development around the world with negative impact, not only on Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, but really the global economy and the well-being of the global community as a whole. Since the Second World War, all of us have been working on constructing a multilateral platform for everything we do together, whether it's in the area of security, area of development, area of trade, area of exchange, in the development of science, of technology. But I think what has happened in the past year, the inward-looking, the me first, I first, as the Prime Minister of Singapore put it, for each nation, feeling the insecurity and the disappointment of the force of globalization. You would recall that in the 90s, in the early 2000s, every time the World Bank and the IMF and the G7 got together, there would be a demonstration. But those who demonstrated against the forces of globalization were people from the third world, were people from the developing world, people who would be afraid of the force of globalization taking over everything, dominating everything. Well, when we have learned to tame the force of globalization to our own interest, we have accommodated it, and we have somehow made use of it in order to solve our own problems, our poverty, our inequality, our lack of development, our lack of production, our lack of trade, our lack of growth and quality of life. We have tamed the force of globalization to our advantage. Little that we know, the anti-globalization force has come now from the other side of the equation, from where globalization started, with the technology, with the production, with the industry, moving out to the world as part of the opening and the facility of globalization. Cheaper labor, more abundant resources, and bigger market. The industry has moved out to us. We have benefited from. And from their perspective, in the West, they were losing out. This is not fair. You are cheaters. And I think this change of role, change of mindset, is something that is upsetting the landscape of multilateralism that we have been building since the Second World War. I agree with the Prime Minister of Singapore. It is time for us to look into our own region. A few days ago, Mrs. Merkel said the same thing, that Europe has to stand on its own from now onward. I think the countries of East Asia, country of Indo-Pacific region, country of Southeast Asia will have to come together and look for our own combined strength and work to strengthen ourselves and to integrate ourselves. I think the response to this anti-globalization from the West is more of a regionalism in our part of the world. More RCEP, more ASEAN, more integration among ourselves in order to maintain our competitiveness, maintain our ability to play an important role on the global stage. Free trade is not only exporting products and services. Free trade means transfer of technology. Free trade means transfer of investment. Free trade means creating opportunities for more people and benefiting more people. So I think the answer for us is more of an integration, more of working together. And certainly Japan has been there from the beginning as far as Southeast Asia, as far as ASEAN is concerned. Without Japan from the beginning, we wouldn't have come this far. When we were ready, China opened up, India opened up, we were able to be part of the new network of growth, of coordination, of cooperation among ourselves. Together we have grown and we have become a new region. I would say to you all that we have become more important to the rest of the world than we were 20, 30 years ago. So the responsibility is on us to weave and to knit and to make sure that we have a new partnership in East Asia. And I think we can do it. I think that's the only way that we can respond to a wave of protectionism growing, certainly in America, certainly the uncertainty and the lack of direction in Europe. We have to be more united and more focused and certainly more resilient among ourselves. Earlier on, Japan was leading the flying geese formation. Countries in Southeast Asia were new group of geese following you. When the time has come, all of us became newly industrialized countries ready to contribute to the global marketplace when the trade regime was more liberal, more open, more equal, more leveled. Now that opportunity or that level playing field has been taken away from us. What do? We need to come together and try to see the way forward together. RCEP is certainly what the Prime Minister of Singapore called RCEP. RCEP, Regional Economic Comprehensive Economic Partnership. 6 countries outside of ASEAN, so it's 10 plus 6 together. I think we can we can construct a regional, comprehensive, integrated network of production, trade, investment, flow of energy, and I hope freer flow of people, science, innovators, so that we can create this new platform stronger than before in the face of protectionism growing up against the freer model of trade, of development that we have together built here in East Asia. So there is no other prescription than just to be more integrated and more united and certainly more open to each other, because together we will have to survive. And I have said all along that the proof of ASEAN, of East Asia's strength and achievement is not in competing just to export, but also combine our strength in order to help the global community shoulder the responsibility, make it more equitable, make it more open, make it more participatory, make it more transparent, make it more fair. I think it's about time for us to take over, and this is the definition of the Asia-Pacific century. I think the 23rd Conference on the Future of Asia has this theme as protectionism, what to do about it. The answer to that question, to that theme, is extremely important for our future together and definitely the future of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. More integration is the keyword from him, and it is very, very, very important. So then, Dr. Lee, please.
Thank you. It's great pleasure for me to speak international conference on the future of Asia. I wish to thank Nikkei for inviting me share my view on free trade and the rising tide of protectionism. Because the protectionism has been a pronoun of anti-globalization, so my topic is Belt and Road. This is one by one road. In the anti-globalization context, in this section, I want to touch 3 issues. The first issue I discuss rising and the prospect of anti-globalization. The anti-globalization movement has entered a new stage of development in 2016, marked by Brexit, and the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States. This highlights the following aspect. Firstly, dining the basic idea of globalization. As you know, the free trade is beneficial to improvement of global welfare, which is a basic concept of globalization. However, the Trump administration's slogan is Buy American, Hire Americans. Apparently, the slogan is complete denial of an idea of globalization. According to the Trump's idea, enriching foreign industry means harming American industry. Import and outsourcing means American losing job. This is a classical mercantilism